Wow, it's been a hot minute since YouTube, so I'm sorry that I've been gone for about a fucking month. Reason why is that I work 2 jobs. One is a floater position at a retail store, the other is full-time in an elderly home, so I have literally no energy to spend either or to pump content out for you guys. As much as I wish I could, I can't. I gotta keep the lights on, I gotta keep food in my stomach, and I gotta make sure that everything in the real world is taken care of before the internet life. And yeah, that's sort of where I've been. I'm active on Twitter and I'm active on Instagram if you want to come and stalk my ass. I have some new lighting effects and shit that I've been playing around with on Instagram. They're probably cringy as fuck, but whatever, that's okay. Here are the elderly stories that I have told my friends, which I'm going to tell you. I want to just put a disclaimer out there. This is no way of making fun of the elderly. I know some fucker on the internet is going to say you are making fun and exploiting them and hurting them and blah 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 and all that wonderful junk. And here's to tell you, I live in the moment with these elders. They don't have much time on this earth left, and we're the only family that they have left, in a weird sense. So I take my approaches very gently, very softly, and I try to make sure all their needs are met. I don't care how slow I am always gentle and courteous with the elders. I never make fun of them. I never hurt them. I would never, do anything of the sort. So there's my disclaimer. It was my first day at this job. I was still in training, and it was a lot of fun. However, sometimes the elders tend to wander and act out. I would like to mention that I was in the most intensive care of Alzheimer's. So, as I was taking care of the elder that I was assigned to, she would run around and start speaking incoherently and say, "Get over here. We need to get rid of the machine. Come and get the little..." Things that do not make any sense. And I was saying, ma'am, please come over here. I don't want you to get hurt, ma'am. Please stop. Why don't we do this puzzle? I was trying to redirect her as if she was a child. This keeps going on. Then she got up and wandered around, and I was trying to reach my teacher, the trainer, and I was trying to ask her something. Turn around. She ended up, the elder woman with the Alzheimer's, pouring water on her puzzle that she was assigned to do. I don't think she liked doing puzzles very much after that. Then there was another little old lady that will walk around the facility of where she was at and keep asking for ice cream. She would say, "Ice cream? I want ice cream. Ice cream. I want ice cream." And we would give her ice cream, but the problem is that she would keep asking for more. And we have to make sure that they don't intake too much sugar. Otherwise, we don't want them, to get diabetic or sick or things like that. We just want to keep them on a healthy diet as possible. But yeah, no, they'll just do weird things like that. And then an escapee from the other house came over to the house that I was at, and she ended up knocking on the door trying to get in, but we weren't allowed to get her in because her caretaker was just right behind her, bringing her back to her house. And the woman that I was assigned to take care of, she would start screaming, saying, "What are you doing here? Get out of here!" And I was thinking, oh my lord. It was very, very interesting. The same woman that I was assigned to, between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, kept snatching people's coffee, drinks, food, you name it, she would try to take it from them. So that was my first day at the Alzheimer's house. My second day of training consists of working at another house. Some of the women and men that live in these houses are very much, some are higher functioning in the sense of they're more coherent, as others are not as functioning as well as others, if that makes any sense. I was helping out in the kitchen, and I was in the middle of cleaning, making coffee for others, and getting ready for the breakfast, and I was being taught about how to go about to get them ready, up and at 'em, and going about their day. I was in the kitchen, and a woman came out, and she was very confused about me, because I was new, so I understood that, and I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm learning and I'm training, but would you like to have a cup of coffee and a breakfast with us?" She was very confused, and she went back to her room. This happened about 4 times. Meanwhile, another lady, she demands, "I'm hungry." And one of my trainers said, "Girl, you have already eaten 7 cookies. You are fine. You've been out through all the night." And she said, "I'm still hungry." So we gave her a bowl of cereal and a cup of coffee. The woman of earlier came right back out. She was all dressed after 5 times. And she said, "What's going on here?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, we are having breakfast. Would you like to have some with us? A cup of coffee. It's eggs and a muffin and orange juice. That sounds nutritious and delicious." She looked at me very perplexed, and then she looked at another elder, and then my trainer comes up and says, "Would you like to have something to eat?" She said, "No, I'm very confused. Who are these teenagers running about and taking care of the facility? Why is the facility under new management? Why are these teenagers running around?" And I said, "Ma'am, it's okay. A lot of people mistake me for a teenager, but I would like to inform you, miss, I am 28 years old. And this woman next to me, my trainer, is in her 30s. She goes on to say to the next lady, "We got all these teenagers running around and trying to tell us what to do under new management." And I try not to laugh because it was very ridiculous, and I'm like, "Oh, well, ma'am, we're not teenagers." I couldn't help but laugh out of confusion. I was like, oh, okay. Then she looks at me, she's like, "I know what you're doing. I see your face. That's right. I'm calling the police." This woman threatened to call the police thinking I was the new management of this facility that I was working at. Then she comes back out, sits down, and have some eggs with us. And I said, "Would you like a cup of coffee or juice?" She says, "No, juice is fine." So I give her breakfast. She ends up looking into her drink and poking at her eggs. She looked at the food as if I put some drugs in it. After breakfast was over and everyone was sitting and watching or listening to music by the TV, the woman comes back up to me and says, "You were very lovely to me. How much should I pay you?" I said, "Ma'am, do not worry. It's all on the house. You are fine." And she said, "Oh, okay. But I simply must pay you for your kindness." I said, "As appreciated, ma'am, you don't have to." She would end up coming back and forth a couple of times asking to pay me, and I kept refusing her politely, saying, "No, ma'am, you don't have to." And she would follow me around and keep asking and say, "But I must repay you for your kindness." And I said, "Your kindness is enough payment for me." She ended up walking away, but kept coming back on and off. And as far as I know, she hasn't called the cops on me yet, but this is apparently a continuing thing that she does. I would like to touch up on the men. Some of the men are very rowdy and inappropriate, but some of them are very charming as well. Recently, a man told me I was very beautiful and radiant with sparkling white teeth and beautiful eyes, and I was just glowing in radiancy. Another old man gave me a wonderful big sloppy kiss on my hand. I found out that a man that lived in one of the houses that I was training in apparently told one of the women, says, "Bend over and I'm gonna put a baby inside of you." And this was staff, mind you. They told staff this. The men are quite more rowdy and a little bit more promiscuous, but that doesn't mean the women don't ask for, sexual things. One of them really wanted dick, and she flat out said that. Another woman got really frisky and wanted to kiss me. There are sexual things that happen, but in my experience as of recently going on in there, nothing really much. Although there are catfights between the girls, and that's kind of interesting. Some of them end up hitting each other, and it's World Star Elders Edition. One of my most recent stories is talking about a woman. We're gonna call her Thelma. Now, Thelma is a very old lady that needs to be assisted sometimes. So I fed her a couple of times, hung out with her and Jane and everyone else, and they all ended up just talking and having fun. And all of them were talking. Now, Thelma claims that she had a husband, and she told me with me and my 5-year almost boyfriend that we were too young to get married. I respond in the sense of, well, Miss Thelma, we're not really rushing into anything. We're taking our time. Good, because you're too young for that. However, I am having an affair with the accountant, she said. Thelma claimed that she was having an affair with an accountant, and then I look up to one of the other workers and I said, is this true? She responded with, oh, you should hear her about her and her 3 husbands and all of her boyfriends. Isn't that right, Thelma? Thelma says, yes. I've had boyfriends, I had my boyfriends in sorority, I've had husbands, and I'm now having an affair with the accountant. And then she tops it off and says, I'm a good Christian lady. Especially in the morning, I asked Miss Thelma, I said, Miss Thelma, would you like a cup of coffee, juice, water? She looked at me and she said, wine. I said, Miss Thelma, it's not even 5 o'clock. It's only 7 in the morning. She said, not for this babe, it isn't. Thelma is quite a wild card and I love her to bits. Next we have Miss Jane. Miss Jane is a sweet soul, means well, is kind of like the pseudo mom of the group, but she can get pushy and bossy sometimes, but I know she doesn't really mean it because of the fact that she has dementia. So I'm very easy with her, and I'm very, calm and collective, and I always approach her in the gently sense of I say, ma'am, would you please stop pushing people around? It's very rude and inappropriate. She looked at me, snarled her lip, and wiggled her fist in the air over a couch. It looked like she was giving me the bird. I'm pretty sure she was giving me the bird. But then she ended up stopping and going to her room. Soon, it was time to put all the elders to bed. So, I ended up putting Miss Jane to bed. Miss Jane was kind of difficult, but that's okay. We ended up getting through it, and she was fine. Miss Jane has a problem with her downstairs area. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm not going to go into that much detail. She claimed I was the cause of it. She said, you're the one who did this to me. Prior to that, she said, well, could you look at this for me? This is very odd. And she opened her legs wide, and I said, ma'am, your doctor will be looking at that. I already notified the nurse, and she told me that they're already on top of it. So we are going to make sure that we're going to take care of that for you. At least your doctor is and the nurses. She says, oh, good. I'm so glad. Now, where's your daddy at? Your daddy should be here. You need to wait on the couch. I said, ma'am, my dad is in a safe place. I didn't really want to tell her my father died like 6 or 7 years ago. I help her get to bed. After it was done and over with getting her to bed, me and the other worker were just hanging out, having a little coffee talk and chatting, and she ends up peeking out of her door. This is a ritual for her. She ends up peeking out of her door, popping her head out, and just peeking in on what's going on. And then we say, we see you, Miss Jane. And then she closed the door and we're like, good night, Miss Jane. Fun fact, she also thought I was in 3rd grade and she was in high school. This is in the same time span as with Miss Jane. By the time it was 9 o'clock, there was Miss Barbara. Now, Miss Barbara is definitely senile. I don't know what level, but she's definitely senile and she wanders about and we let her wander. This one woman, Miss Barbara, comes out at 9 o'clock or 9:30 at night. And she was topless. Nothing on, not even a bra. And she had her pants on. Somehow she got them on herself. And we were thinking, OMG, what the fuck? So we go in there and we find her room is ripped and torn apart. She pooped in her sheets. The clothes were all over the floor. She had a sock in her toothpaste holder. She had a pillow in her shower. Everything was just a wreck and a mess. And her bed was all, oh my God, the closet was torn out. It looked like somebody ransacked the damn room. And this was all done by one little old lady. And we said, Barbara, what's going on? And she was trying to converse, but nothing really came out coherently. And we were like, look, Barbara, why don't we get you back to bed? She was very resistant on not going back to bed, but it was already late and there was really nothing we could do, and we closed down the kitchen. So we ended up putting her back to bed. She ended up wanting her mom, and we said, your mom is not here right now. She's over there. Newsflash, her mom has been dead for years. And she ended up going back to sleep as soon as we put her back to bed. We ended up having to wrap and clean up her room and redoing her laundry. It was just a mess. I didn't know what was clean or what was dirty. So I ended up just throwing everything in the washer, and we put her to bed, and she was out like a light. Bless your heart, Barbara. Bless your heart. Alright, so this is a recent paranormal story that has happened to me, I think I want to say this past week, or if not earlier this week. And what happened is that this was in a different house, and this was a different worker. So I was with one of my coworkers, and all the elders were put to bed, and it was about 11, 10 o'clock at night, I think. And all of a sudden, the alarms went off. Now, for those that don't know, we have bedside calls, and we have a screen that shows when the bedside caller is ringing for us. We went to the screen to check who was calling. It did not show up. We didn't know who needed help. So we ran from room to room checking on each elder that needed help. And when my other coworker ended up stepping into room number 5, it stopped. And, well, you know me, doing tarot readings and things like that. Sometimes I'll get messages, if you believe in the stuff, from, like, you know, the other side or dead people. And then I said, who is this woman? She loves the color purple. She has brown hair, glasses, always wore high heels, at least when she was younger. And then she's like, oh my God, I just got chills. This is Joanne. And I'm thinking, who's Joanne? And then she sort of explained what happened, and she lived in that room, number 5. And she was her kind of like, they had a very close bond and relationship. And I started talking about things and how she was a Spitfire and things only that she would know. And it was kind of creepy that we ended up having a little spooky moment. And then recently we found out someone did pass away, and I got a feeling that she's gonna come back. She's gonna come back and make herself known, mark my word. So, but yeah, we got sometimes some spooky paranormal things happen. On top of it, there's a really old, like, creaky cemetery right outside the elder home. So, that's even more fun. But yeah, anyway, that's a little paranormal story we got over there. This story contains a dog, a cup of milk, and her owner, and a weird ritual that she does. At this one house that I've worked at, I've been bouncing around from house to house for any contacts. After dinner, lunch, any meal, she would always ask for a cup of milk. The first time I tried and I worked there, she said, "Is it possible I could have a cup of milk and bring it back to my room, please?" I said, "Sure, Ethel, you're more than welcome to." So I grabbed the can of milk and pour it in. One coworker came up to me and she said, don't give her the milk. And I looked at her really funny. I said, "Why? It's just milk." She says, she gives her dog a glass of milk, thinking it would help cure his diabetes. And I'm sitting there thinking, what? And I got filled in. The wiener dog that she has is overweight, diabetic, and very sick. She keeps giving this dog a glass of milk. Yes, they're allowed to keep animals there. Every time she wants a glass of milk, she would try to smuggle it into her room. And she's tried a couple of times. She'll come out in the middle of the night, say, "I would like a cup of milk." And we would say, "Okay, but you have to drink it out here." And she said, "Why?" "Well, I just want to see you drink it out here. I want to make sure you're enjoying it." So she ends up drinking it, and she tries to smuggle the cup of whatever little remains of milk are in there. And we would say, "No, give us back the cup. We have to wash it. It's dirty now." And so she would get frustrated and then grumble off to her room. But yeah, that's really bizarre. Who the fuck gives their dog a glass of milk? Especially a diabetic one. This last one is a really sweet story. We have a lady named Carol. Now, Carol is 102 years old, has a degree, she's a really smart lady. Here's the cool thing about her. She's a tank. At 102, she's still trucking and she hasn't lost her mind. And she's super coherent and she'll talk to you like a conversation, and she's just really frail and is on a CPAP machine. So after I put her to bed, I make sure and I keep asking, did I ever hurt you? Did I bump you? If I did, I'm super sorry. Let me know. And she said, "No, you're fine." And I said, "If I did, I'm super, super sorry." And I, apologize in case, you know, if I hurt them. She looks at me and she says, dear, you're fine. I promise. If I was hurt, I would have told you. And I said, okay, ma'am, I'm just making sure that you're safe. And so she asked me, she says, my dear, what is your name? And I said, well, Miss Carol, my name is Kitty. And she says, Kitty, I have to remember that name. You are very kind and very genuine, and you take your time, and I really admire that. And you don't do what a lot of people do at the facility. So I truly appreciate that, dear. You're so kind and genuine, and that's rare to find. And she ended up giving me a kiss on my forehead, and it just gets me every time because, like, I've never felt like a stranger have that so much genuine. And she wished me a good night, and then I kissed her back on her cheek, and I said, good night, Miss Carol. She's not dead or anything. It's just that it was just so sweet. But man, if she goes, I'm gonna end up crying. Like, holy shit. she sometimes when the elders are very coherent, even when they're not coherent, when you're really kind and compassionate to them, they sense that, and it's like very intuitive energy, or, you know, just by your actions and your touch and your feel and the way that you handle them, they just know who's kind and who isn't. And they really love people that are super gentle and fun and like to talk to them. And man, if Miss Carol goes, I'm gonna be kind of a wreck. I don't know her that well, but the fact that the strangers show that much nice kindness to me, damn, that really hit me home, and I ended up kind of crying a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna stop. But those are so far all of my stories, both fun and heartwarming, and they're a joy to work with the elderly, and I truly appreciate them, and I think they appreciate me. I hope they do. I mean, I don't know if they really do. Maybe they're just saying that to make me feel better. Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. You know, social media shit's down below. What I use in the videos down below. Images are from Google, yada, yada, yada. Sorry I haven't been around. I've just been busy. I have 2 jobs. I hope I can really come back on YouTube and be more, you know, efficient and on time or something, but it's just really hard to balance 2 jobs and do this. This is not my main job, so. But I appreciate you guys coming out. Okay, bye.